Hey friends, thanks for joining today. Today I'm going to teach you how to make the yummy and delicious scallion pancake. So in my bowl, I've got 4 cups of all-purpose flours, and next to me I've got 2 cups of cold water. With these 2 items, I'm going to begin kneading the dough. As you can see, I don't use any equipment, only my hand. So the first thing that I'm going to do is pour the water in. Again, it's cold water into all-purpose flour. And I'm going to begin to try to start stirring the dough with the water. And with pancake, we have to make sure that the dough is soft, so extra water doesn't hurt. And as I'm kneading it, I'm going to start pressing the dough in. We're going to continue to add more water to the dough. And I like to use my hand to knead the dough, mainly because I can actually feel the texture of the dough. And what you don't want to do is add more flour to this, because we want to make sure that the dough is soft, and extra flour would change the consistency of the dough in itself. So just continue to knead. It's okay if the dough gets stuck to your hand, and you can always scrape it off and add it back into the dough texture. But make sure you don't add any additional flour to this, because we want to make sure the consistency is soft. So I've been kneading the dough for about 3 or 4 minutes. And how do you know when it's done? Well, as you can see here, I added all the water and the flour is no longer sticking to the bowl or to my hand. I did remove some of the dough off, but as you can see here, when I'm kneading, the dough no longer stuck to my hand. And that's when you know it's ready. So I'm just going to let it knead a little bit longer for the flour and the water to integrate. So I've been kneading for a little while, and as you can see, the texture of the dough is starting to get smooth and it's no longer sticking to the bowl. And I'm gonna flip this over. Looks like a baby's butt. It's very smooth. I have a piece of wet paper towel. You can also use wet cloth if you wanted to. And I'm gonna stick this on top of the dough and also put a lid on it so that we can let it rest and keep it moist. After 20 minutes, I'm gonna knead the dough one more time and it will be ready for scallion pancake. So while the dough is resting, I'm gonna start preparing some of the other ingredients that goes with the scallion pancake. Obviously, some green scallions. So I'm going to start cutting this up into small pieces. Once I cut up the green onions, I'm going to dice it just a little bit more fine so that's easier to be adding into the pancake. Now that I've diced the green onion, I am going to add this to the bowl, save it for later. In addition to the green onion, I also have some regular cooking oil, salt, some extra flour to dust the pan, and a rolling pin. Okay, it's about 20 minutes later. I'm checking on the dough and kneading one more time to make sure the water and the flour gets integrated fully. And I'm going to let this rest for another 20 minutes. Then we will be ready to make actual pancake. Now the dough has been resting for a while, I'm going to take it out and begin the process of making the pancake. But first, let me show you what the dough actually looks like after it's been resting. So as you can see here, the flour and the water has been fully integrated. The dough looks really smooth, and I'm going to take it out and start cutting it up so we can start the process. I'm going to dust some regular flour onto the board, just a little bit, to make sure that the dough doesn't get stuck to the cutting board. And I'm gonna take the dough out, just begin kneading gently for a little bit as though continue to make it smoother. And then the next thing that I'm going to do is cut the dough into 2 pieces, because usually with this much dough, I like to make 2 pancakes so that the consistency can be crusty on the outside and soft on the inside. Next, I'm gonna cut the dough into 2 pieces. I take my knife and just slice it through the middle. We're gonna put this one back and cover it up so it doesn't get dried up. And we're gonna knead this one just gently for a little bit. Now that I've been kneading this for a few minutes, I'm gonna flip it over and start rolling. Now that the dough has been rolled out to a pretty big size, a good size, you can see the consistency of this dough. It's about less than an inch in width. And the next thing that I want to do is add some salt to the dough so it can make it flavorful. So I'm just adding the salt all around the dough. And what I want to do is make sure that I roll that salt into the dough so the flavor can actually get into the pancake in itself. The next thing will be to add some oil. We're gonna drizzle some oil all around. And the way to do this is actually not to use your rolling pin, but to fold the dough to the side one time, the other side, smooth it out. Another side, almost like a square. And this way the oil can saturate into the dough evenly without having to roll it. The next thing will be to add the green onion that I cut up earlier. Spread it all around. Depends on how much onion you like in the flavoring. We like a lot of onions in our scallion pancake. It just makes it very flavorful. The next step, which is a very important step, is to roll the dough back together. And the reason we're doing that is because it creates the layer within the pancake that makes it crunchy on the outside and delicious and soft in the middle. So when you're rolling this, you don't want to tuck the dough. You want to slowly roll the dough together. Ooh, now it's rolled into, and then the next thing is to twist it. So one way, you twist one side and the other one to twist the other side. Again, this is to add that layer that we're looking for, that consistency within the pancake that makes it incredibly crunchy on the outside and soft in the middle. Now the dough has been twisted. As you can see here, it looks like a big worm. What I'm going to do is twist it back together and tuck the both ends to the bottom. So it looks like this. And we're gonna let it rest for another 20 minutes before rolling it out. Hey, so before we roll out the dough that's been resting, I'm going to turn on my pan to about medium heat. This way that it doesn't get too hot and burn the pancake. In it, I'm going to add some oil and we're going to let it heat it up. While this is heating, come back with me and I'm going to roll out the dough that's been resting with the scallions inside of it. So with this, you don't want to roll it out too hard And first I'm actually just going to press it with my hand and let it flatten and make to the size that you like to eat. We don't want to make this too thin because then it will be too crunchy. We do want a little bit of softness inside the pancake. So once I press it down, I'm going to just gently roll to the same size as the pan that I have been heating up. I rolled the dough to the level that I would like the size to be. As you can see, the thickness, it's about, what, an inch? So then what I'm going to do is put this into the heated pan with the oil that I did earlier. I'm just going to do this and add this into the turn the heat down just slightly. I'm gonna turn it so it can get all around. Hammer it just a little tiny bit because it does tend to retract. Oh, it smells so good. The scallion and the dough, the smell is already coming out. It smells delicious. I wish there's a smell camera around somewhere. Now that the pancake has been frying for about 2 minutes, let me show you the coloring. Oh, look how golden brown that is. Oh, that looks delicious. I am going to flip this right over and let it cook for another 2 minutes. This time I'm actually going to close the lid because this way the steam will allow the inside to cook, creating that really soft texture while the outside looks golden and crunchy. Oh, it looks golden and delicious, doesn't it? This looks so yummy. Oh my goodness. The green onions and the flour integrating it. Let me flip it one more time. Oh, look at the golden deliciousness of this pancake. One more time. I'm just going to let it cover for a few more minutes to cook inside and in the middle. Maybe 2 minutes. Oh, this looks so delicious. The golden crunchiness and soft in the middle. I'm gonna take this out. Smells so good. And watch this, folks. You hear that? Hear the crunchiness? Oh, and look at the layer. Look at the layer inside. Hope you enjoy it. This is so delicious. It's incredibly crunchy on the outside and soft in the middle. I hope you enjoy the recipe. Talk to you next time.